and then we will continue waiting for just another minute or so for a couple more to join.
Sorry.
I see lots of familiar names here. That's awesome. Hey guys, if you're just joining, go ahead and find the chat box at the bottom of the screen and type in your organization name and your name, and we'll give it about 20 more seconds here and then we'll get going. Hey Susie, I see Susie's on. Good to virtually see you. Right. Okay, so others will be joining the meeting as we go along. So I'll do a greeting now. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is Wendy Hardiman. I'm with Sharing Life Community Outreach, and I'm just going to kind of go over a little bit of housekeeping here, and then we will continue on. So if everyone will make sure that they keep their mute buttons on during the meeting, at the end, I think we may have an opportunity to do some Q&A. But if you do have any questions or comments during the live feed, please type your questions into the chat and we'll do our best to hit those either during or after at the Q&A. Please feel free to share any helpful information during the chat if you have any comments or know some context or whatever regarding whatever is being discussed. Feel free to type that into the chat box and allow everybody to see that. And I think that's about it. So I will hand it over, and I think Dabney is gonna say a little bit. It's all yours, Dabney.
Are we going to do the video first? So let's do the video that we made several years ago, and we would just love to show this to everybody. There's some organizations that we represent that are in this video. So take it away, Juanella.
I'm sorry, I forgot that I have to set up audio for this video. Let me see how I do that. Here it is, share sound. Okay, share sound. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to start it again. There it is, can you hear it?
Currently have a family of 11 of us total, 9 children. There has been several times to where, we had to make a choice financially to improve the hunger of my children, whether they had to eat or pay the water. But food, there's never enough, especially in a large family. There's never enough. Because my husband works full-time for his own business, and sometimes the clients aren't there to pay him on time, and there's nothing you can do but just to sit back and wait and pray.
I've been a nurse for 33 years, and I'm a single parent. I have a high school senior that's living with me. Right now I'm working part-time because it's a nursing home, and so I'm actively looking for a full-time job, so when you kind of fall between the cracks, we don't qualify for food stamps. It makes it very difficult. You know, we're just trying to pay rent.
We're a military family as well, and worked in aerospace. I got real sick. Things began to change in our life. We couldn't meet our bills. I wasn't working. She was the only one working. I've got all these bills. I can't feed my family. And I said, I can't do this anymore.
I love kids and they love me. They called me they beauty queen cross guard. That's the name they gave me. I've been living in Lake Highlands community for 5 years. I have 2 daughters living in my house. It's hard when you by yourself. It's even hard when you have 2 people. And nowadays, it takes 2 or 3 people.
I have 2 jobs. I do home health care and also I drive for Uber. I can say as a single mom, it's hard. Single mom having 2 kids to feed and myself.
I was in logistics, warehouse work, and for 20 years, and my wife died in 2009. And I went through kind of a midlife crisis. I couldn't afford rent anymore, so I went homeless. I've been homeless about 4 years, but recently City Square has given me an apartment. And I come to town and go to work, so to speak, come here to Stupot, do my artwork at the art program. I make textile blankets and embroidery and table runners, useful products. I do useful things. The church lets us sell them at events. They schedule events.
It's hard when you have 5 kids and yourself. It's very, very hard, and I struggle. I choose either to buy groceries or to buy my medicine, and I'm not gonna buy my medicine because my grandkids have to eat.
I live with my husband and 2 grandchildren we've been raising since they were born. Being on Social Security, disabled, both my husband and I, it's hard to get groceries, pay the bills, utilities, all this.
I have a son and grandson. They both live with me. There are sometimes I have to make a choice. I have to make a choice between, say for instance, going to the doctor or getting some food. The food stamp only gives me $18 a month for food. Been times that I had nothing. And I'll tell anybody, anytime you see a person struggling, if you know a place that a person to go to get help when they're struggling, because it's hard out there, tell them, help them.
I hope everybody got to see part of that. I understand there's a delay between the audio and the video, but every time I see this, it just hits me right here. Love the video. So as Juan Nelson, I'm Dabney Dwyer, and I would like to give you all a brief overview of the coalition as well as the Faith Community Action Team. So we were organized in 2012. It seems like a long time ago. And the mission of the coalition is to empower Dallas County residents to gain equal access to food. And the way we do that is that we have created action teams in 5 priority areas: child hunger, senior hunger, faith community, hunger solutions, urban ag, and public policy. As part of that, as we have comprised a leadership team that helps us do our strategy. And these leadership team represent various organizations, both public and private, having a stake in reducing food insecurity. And we come together monthly to review progress of our plan, as well as evaluate the current landscape and address new issues. This was very relevant during COVID, as you can imagine. So next slide. So here's the basic plan in order to implement the strategies. These are the 5 action teams, and each action team develops their own goals and objectives, action steps, and we do a plan that is updated about every 2 years. So this is the current plan as you see now, as I know that we are working on some new goals and objectives. So the Faith Community Action Team, our goal has been to equip congregations to implement one or more of hunger solutions that proven to reduce food insecurity, particularly seniors and children. And the way that we do this is we implement a tool, which is the Hunger Solutions for the Faith Community. We often call it a guide. And the purpose of this guide is to inform the faith community of solutions that are out in the community that are already established that faith community and congregations can partner with. And we are excited that we have the 5th edition that's available for you all to get copies of online. Ronella will tell you a little bit more how to do that. And we will highlight just a few of the organizations that we partner with in this guide.
So I haven't been able to figure out how to walk and chew gum. So I'm going to bring up a copy. I have to stop sharing and then I'll share again. So I'm bringing up a copy and now I'm going to share. Okay, so can you see a copy of the guide here on my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is the current guide that we've, this is the 5th edition coming out in 2021. In this edition, you will find Hunger Solutions partners, potential partners. These are community organizations and programs that are already implementing initiatives to try to reduce food insecurity and increase access to healthy food for many in Dallas County who are vulnerable to these issues. And so this is the table of contents. These are the programs that you'll find. A little bit about the coalition, an introduction here to the issue, to the problem of hunger in Dallas County, some contact information for those of us who make up the Faith Community Hunger Solutions Action Team leadership and support. Okay, well, this is looking weird, but just know that there's a page for each of the programs with an overview. Let's see, this is supposed to be American Heart Association here. And then there's Grow North Texas. They are available to help with creating community gardens, that sort of thing, urban agriculture projects in Dallas. Crossroads Community Distribution Partnership, Sharing Life Community Distribution Partnership, and so on. Public policy roundtables, that is an opportunity here in the guide, and there's information here about how your congregation might implement a public policy roundtable. You can contact me for that. Eating Well is a SNAP. That's our senior hunger outreach project, and we're looking for congregations who would like to have us bring a presentation to seniors in your community or in your congregation, you can contact me for that. Meals on Wheels is here. They're always in need of volunteers and resources. Out of school child meals. We have a speaker today who's going to talk about how congregations can support summer meals. Out of school meals also mean after school meals as well. There's potential there for congregations to get involved. Super schools, part of the Super Bowl of Caring organization, information here about how you can support, how you can bring a Super Bowl of Caring program to your school, to a campus in your community. Senior community meals, our speaker today will speak about that, more than a meal for seniors, how congregations can support that. And then we've got some additional hunger solutions here at the back with information and contacts there. Okay, so I'm going to close that now. You can contact me for more information. Right now, you can, this is down on your agenda. If you got a copy of the agenda, I did include a link to our to the Hunger Solutions Guide on our website. We hope to print this guide and have hard copies available. We have done that in the past. And so we're looking to do that again this year, probably not until summer or by summer anyway. We hope to have hard copies available, and then we'll have to figure out how we're going to be able to get those into the hands of people out in the community who would like to have copies. But meanwhile, you can go to our website and download a free copy of the guide to your computer, and you're welcome to print it off. So I think that's everything that I have to say about that, and I'll turn it over to Chelsea.
Thank you, Wynella. I'm Chelsea. I serve as one of the co-chairs for the Faith Community Action Team. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. And today we are privileged to have two special guests with us. The first one is Catherine Nicholson. She works for the Texas Hunger Initiative. She also serves on the leadership team of the Dallas Coalition for Hunger Solutions. And she'll be talking to us a little bit about the summer meals program and giving us an update on what that's going to look like for this year. And then following Catherine, we've got Mark Edwards with us as well. And he is also part of the leadership team of the Dallas Coalition for Hunger Solutions. And he works with the Dallas County Health and Human Services Department with the Older Adult Services Program. And so he will be sharing with us today on serving seniors during COVID and addressing the technological divide. Catherine's going to go first, and then we will give her a few minutes after she's finished for some Q&A. So if you want to type any questions that you have for her in the chat box, we will try to get to those in a timely manner. And then following Catherine, we will have Mark Edwards. So thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to a great program.
Thank you, Chelsea. Wynella, may I have sharing capabilities? Okay, thank you. I figured it was coming.
What's the coach doing?
Oh, she's right here. I lost video or audio.
I apologize in advance. It was a half day for my kids' school. And so if we have a disruption with a small child coming in the screen, that's one of mine. So, all right, thank you, Wynella. I see I'm able to present. So, but I feel I always should provide a disclaimer because my kids don't understand boundaries. We're working on it. I'm here today to provide an overview of summer meals, especially what it's going to look like in 2021. Because there have been some changes to the program during the last year as we continue to be in the COVID crisis. And so I just want to provide an update and a brief overview of what the program entails. So we're going to, in my presentation today, we're going to cover briefly what the summer meals program is, the current waivers that are available, and what summer 2020 data look like. It's a very interesting number, and I'm excited to share it today. And then also how we can promote and advocate for the program this summer. And then if we have time, Q&A, or we save it at the end, whichever works best. So briefly, the summer meal program is There's actually two programs that are offered. There is the Summer Food Service Program, which is federally funded and state administrated. It reimburses providers who serve free healthy meals to children and teens in low income areas during the summer months when school is not in session. And then there's the Seamless Summer option, and that's provided by school districts. And those are for schools participating in the National School Lunch Program, and they choose to continue that program through the summer. However, those meals become available to the public as well, and those are free of charge meals, including teenagers through the age of 18. I actually do want to add an amendment here. Students enrolled who have disabilities up to the age of 21 are allowed to participate in meals as well. That typically tends to be a little gap in service. And so families who have a student enrolled in school with a disability up to the age of 21 can participate in these programs as well. So who is in charge of this program? It's a federally funded program. The USDA oversees it. And then they hand it down to TDA, who administers the program. So it goes to the state agency to have them oversee it state by state. And then the sponsors are the schools, our local government agencies, camps, faith-based organizations, our other nonprofits that are offering the food to the children, and they get reimbursed through the program as they manage multiple sites. And so the way they receive reimbursement is really how they report their expenses, and it really comes down to how many meals they serve. Sites are places in the community where children receive meals in a safe and supervised environment. They may include a variety of settings, including schools, parks, community centers, health clinics, hospitals, apartment complexes, churches, migrant centers. I've seen splash pads be sites. We've gotten creative with what can be a site in the program. And so to talk a little bit about the waivers. So when COVID hit, some regulations around the program include congregate feeding, where children were not allowed to leave the meal site. They had to stay there and eat their meal on site. And so we had this congregate feeding rule that obviously became a barrier for children accessing the food, since we didn't want people congregating to be safe. And so last summer, USDA announced that they were going to waive congregate meal service. They also allowed alternative meal service times, which really meant there's also a required 4-hour window between breakfast and lunch, or your 2 meals you're serving, and they waived that to allow both meals to be served at one time and picked up. And then that also allowed for sponsors to serve only on one day. And also with that waiver came the ability to do multiple days of service in one day. So now we had families who could pick up 10 meals. At some instances, sponsors who could serve both the summer meal program and the after school meal program, the supper program, were able to serve 3 meals, and some for 7 days a week. So families could pick up 21 meals at a time. That's quite a lot, but it was really helpful in that you didn't have to make multiple trips out to the site throughout the week. And then also one of the waivers included area eligibility. So used to serve in a site, you had to be in a qualifying area, which meant 50% or more of the population had free and reduced students in the area, but they have waived that. And now for open sites, it's really anywhere can be a site. For closed enrolled sites, which is when students had to enroll and submit paperwork of their income eligibility, those sites can be determined by area eligibility, which is typically what was used for open. And that gets really tedious, but really at the end of the day, the good news is USDA announced at the beginning of March that they're going to continue these waivers throughout September 30th. So yeah, that's exciting. I think there was a lot of signs of relief from our providers. And so really this allows meals to be served again in bulk pickup, non-congregate style. And it also allows for parents and guardians to pick up the meals for their children without their children being in the car. And that's really key, because if you have a child who has a disability and you have to get them out in the car to prove that you have them, that's difficult. Or even my able children complain about running an errand with me. So, this is a sigh of relief for a lot of parents, I believe, as well. So we're very excited for this announcement. So presenting the data of what meal service looked like in 2019 to 2020, we had a 7 million meal increase. And these numbers are not statewide. This is Dallas County alone. And so there's a few factors that feed into this increase. Obviously, the need has grown exponentially. We have so many families who have needed this program for the first time, and that became apparent very quickly on in the pandemic. And so we have had an increase in participation for that. We also had more school districts being able to serve due to the area eligibility requirement being waived. School districts who previously didn't qualify to be summer sponsors qualified and were serving. We also had the bulk meal pickup, which meant more meals were being served at one time. And depending on the sponsor, some had significant increase with the bulk pickup and some had just kind of stayed the same. And then also there was no July drop off. Usually in this program, we are advocating very hard in July for families to continue to come. We just typically, that's when school districts who have fulfilled the 30 days and summer school is over, they drop off, completely understandable. And then families also go on vacation. And so usually there's this massive July slump, and we did not have that this year. We had almost a 200% increase in number of meals served in 2020 in July than we did in 2019. So there was an instrumental amount of meals being served, but we still have sponsors who are in need of families coming. So promote and advocate. What does that look like? And there's a lot of ways to promote and advocate for this program. And when I say advocate, I don't necessarily mean in the traditional sense of like policy and politics, though that would be great and important. Really, the first thing is spread the word. We still have so many families who do not know that this program exists, that they don't recognize that they're able to participate in these programs. There is no there's no requirement for this program. You don't show ID, you don't have to show income requirement at this moment. It's you just show up, you get a meal. And so we really would like to continue to encourage that. There is I will post it in the chat. There is a texting line, 877-877. You text food to it. They'll ask for your zip code or address, and then you will find, it will provide you 3 closest meal sites. That's a really easy way for families to figure it out. There will be an up and running meal site location map in May, but really just promoting the program or even going and participating is huge as well. I take my kids to summer meal sites. It's a great way to get involved with your community and just see what's happening. And so this year it's more convenient than ever. You just do a drive-through. It's very similar to going and getting fast food, but you're supporting your local sponsors and ensuring that the program continues to have the participation it needs to be funded and recognized by the government. Your next option is to become a site. This year, since area eligibility is continuing to be waived, that means there's more opportunities to become a site. Perhaps previously you had tried and it had been an issue of you did not meet the area eligibility requirement to become one. I encourage, if you would like to become a site, please contact myself and Kristen Chan in our office, because we work closely with a sponsor council. We know of who's providing in the area, and we would be happy to make connections for you to ensure that you're getting connected with a sponsor that meets your needs and what you're looking for. So I have my email at the bottom of this presentation, but I'll also put it in the chat, and Kristen's as well. If you cannot become a site, adopt a site. There are sites who are in need of support. I saw Julie Fletcher from DISD she put in the chat she was here, and I think she would agree with me when I say that our child nutrition providers have been working exhaustively for several months now, for actually a year. Several haven't had more than a week off. and they are in need of support. And so whether you can come and volunteer in a safe manner that works with their regulations to keep the community safe, I encourage that. I encourage even adopting a site just to bring their child, their staff lunch one day, because they are working tirelessly again. And there's a lot that can be done with the site and what you can provide them. And then also lastly, feeding into that is donate. Since we don't have congregate feeding, one of the biggest bonuses of the summer meal program is the enrichment that's evolved around it. And so these are students, these are kids going to summer camp, they're going to additional enrichment activities or learning arts and crafts. There's, that ability to have that community aspect of summer meals is very important. And while non-congregate feeding has allowed us to do wonderful things with the program, it also, that has been a loss. And so we still need those activities for kids. And so donating maybe take-home activities, such as, sending coloring books or activity books or whatever the site may need that you adopt or you reach out to, would be a great way to help promote and advocate for this program still. And I would highly encourage it. We'll be reaching out to our North Texas Summer Supper Council that I co-chair with United Way Metropolitan Dallas, and getting a list from our council of things they may want donated this summer. And so please, again, reach out to us, and we're happy to connect your organization with another organization and make some really good relationships there. And then lastly, child nutrition reauthorization is on the table, luckily. And if you don't know what that is, I don't want to get into the weeds of it. It's a whole presentation in itself, but really it's when Congress decides how these programs will be implemented and how money is allocated to them. And they just had their first hearing last week. And one of the things they're hearing is about the summer meals program and whether or not to continue with congregate feeding. Prior to COVID, we had proposed, there have been several bills proposed of removing congregate feeding and decreasing area eligibility. And a few other, there's several marker bills. There's probably about 20, to be honest, that are around just relaxing some of these regulations. As we've seen with COVID, relaxing those regulations has allowed numerous families to be fed. We've had a significant increase in participation. And so removing some of those barriers for families would be fantastic. And so we'll be providing updates as CNR gets closer and when there are days for action, and maybe just calling your congressman or your representative and asking them to please vote yes on changing some of these regulations would be a fantastic way to promote and advocate for the program as well. And so some sources, I can also provide these links, but a little bit more about the USDA waiver extensions and what that means for families this summer. The TDA summer meal site is where there is going to be up-to-date information about how summer meals evolves as we get closer. Really, right now it's kind of blank. It just has the waiver information, but that's because really they'll start ramping up information come May as we get into the program at the end of May. And then how to participate in summer meals. If you're interested in becoming a site or you want to learn more about the program, this is really a great fact sheet that gives really good highlights of how the program operates and works. And this is a link to a PDF for that as well. And so that is all I have today. I know that's a lot of information to digest in a short period of time. This is a fantastic program that's run for a short period of time that has a lot of information and regulations that go around it. And so I appreciate being able to present. And I would love to provide more information of how to promote and advocate for this program. And we will be having media guides coming out soon. So please reach out to me, and I will also provide Kristen's email, our child hunger specialist in our office, her email as well as in the chat, so you can reach out to us. And I am unsure if at this moment, are we doing Q&A at this time, or do I need to pass to Mark? Whichever way works best.
If you have any questions, thank you, Catherine. Please feel free to submit them into the chat box, and Catherine will be on here and she can answer those as they come through. I don't see any particular ones that I missed yet, just some affirmation for helping to advocate for the CNR. So thank you, Catherine. And before we move on, again, this is a simple way that congregations can get involved. You don't have to be a site or a sponsor. Catherine's already listed several other ways that you can get involved. And so, Catherine, for any organizations that are wanting to help, would you mind putting that link in the website, in the chat box of the website where they can go to get connected with the site to help sponsor, or where they can make donations? And then the process if they want to become a site as well. So is that all found on that same website?
So knowing what sponsors need will be something we're developing in the next couple of months as we meet as a Summer Supper Council. And so that would be best to email Kristen. She's our coordinator for that council. And so I'll include her email in the chat because we'll be developing that list. And then in terms of tools and guides and social media posts, that will be on the Texas Department of Agriculture's website. So I will post that. I'll put descriptions with the links in the chat. So
perfect. Thank you so much, Catherine. We did have a question come through and it says, are there any specific Texas representatives that are key to passing the CNR? For example, House Ag Committee members?
Oh, that's a really great question. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I do know that Julian Castro was on a bill. They've changed some of these bills as they've moved forward. And I would have to look up the others. I know he was the first Texas one that really popped off the screen for me. The one that's presented specifically around summer meals actually came out of a representative from Arkansas, but has the Food and Research Action Center has a lot of really good highlights of how to call or who to call and who to talk to and which bills are the ones that they see the most progress moving forward in terms of allowing better access to the programs. So I have a horde of links to post in the chat here in a minute.
Good, great. Thank you so much, Catherine. So those links and contact information will be coming up shortly in your chat box there. So you can copy those directly off of there. Or if you have further questions, you can follow up with Catherine directly. So she'll be providing her contact information. Thank you again, Catherine, for sharing with us today and taking time out of your schedule. And next up, we have Mark Edwards, who will be sharing with us about senior hunger. And I think you're still on mute there, Mark.
Okay, can you hear me?
There we go. Perfect. Yes,
all right,
thank you.
I said a whole bunch of good stuff, like everything questions. Anyway, I wanted to first acknowledge the Faith Action Team and the great work that they're doing. There's a saying that faith without works is dead, and it's clear that this action team's faith is very well alive. So thank you, Dabney and Chelsea and Wendy and your entire committee for the work you're doing. I just want to take a few minutes and talk a little bit about what older adults, Dallas County Older Adult Services is doing in the midst of the pandemic, and what some of our future projects and initiatives are to address some of the concerns that our older adults are faced with day in and day out. When we talk about older adult services, the services were first provided, let me see here, advancing, there we go. Services were first provided through the Older Americans Act, and the purpose behind this initiative was to address food insecurity, to promote socialization, and the health and well-being of older adults through nutrition. Dallas County has 19 senior centers throughout the county. And these are not your typical brick and mortar centers. They're more of a hybrid center where we've gone into low socioeconomic communities, identified a need, and created great partnerships with faith-based groups, partnerships with Salvation Army, partnerships with the city of Dallas, and other surrounding cities, even have partnerships with Dallas Housing Authority, and we'll go into these communities and set up a hybrid senior center. And to date, the past 12 months, you can see the number there. We've served 2,385 seniors through our older adult services. And there's a little bit of a background in terms of the number of seniors at each of these site locations that are part of Dallas County's program. And that just gives you kind of a map as to where we are located, predominantly the southern sector of Dallas, but we have centers in Garland, we have centers in West Dallas, we have centers in North Dallas. So we're fairly well diversified in our outreach efforts. The main focus for Dallas County's older adult services was to provide congregate meals. We would typically do approximately 1,200 meals a day, and then we were all hit with the pandemic. And so as a result, we had to do some pivoting because the numbers are staggering. We know as of yesterday, there were 252,000 and 39,000 positive tests as of yesterday, with 3,527 deaths. And currently, there have been 263,000 COVID vaccines administered at Fair Park alone. And so if any of our community partners that are on the line today are part of today's meeting, are interested in partnering with Dallas County on getting their participants registered or vaccines appointments scheduled, please feel free to reach out to us here at Dallas County. And I'll give you my phone number towards the end, and we'd be happy to see how we can assist you and your constituents. So talking about the pandemic, of course, we all know that it's increased social isolation and the inability to thrive for our seniors. And of course, we know that it's led to higher levels of anxiety, depression, and certainly the impact being food insecurity. In our pivot, as I mentioned, we traditionally hold a congregate meal program at 19 centers, but what we ended up doing is converting our fleet of 24 passenger buses into Meals on Wheels. And so our management team, our fleet drivers, and admin team all came together to distribute meals to our seniors ever since the pandemic and to date. And that gives you an image of what our meal distribution looks like. At all of our senior centers, we're doing both senior center drive-through, but we're also doing home delivered meals and making sure that our seniors are safe. We do an infrared thermo check on all of our seniors, and we also maintain social distancing. To date, we've done 505,000 meals. Typically, in comparison, we would normally do about 210,000. So that's 2.5 times. Because of the pandemic, there's been a greater need for meals being provided. But in addition to the meals that we provide for all of our seniors, we really try to be more than a meal program and provide social and fitness activities. So what does that look like? We've distributed 284,000 memory games. We give them puzzles to work off of, crossword puzzles and the like to work on. We provided lots of PPE for them to maintain their safety. Mental health kits, snack kits, toiletry kits, provided insect repellent. And we also provide fitness stretch bands, again, to maintain that, not just that socialization, but some form of movement, which we also find very necessary for our older adult population. And I'll talk a little bit of what that fitness stretch band will look like. And so again, given the pandemic, we've all had to, take on a new normal. And so many of us have had to go virtual. The challenge, with our community in terms of virtual programming is many of our seniors lack access to not only food, but they lack access to transportation and they lack access to technology. And so many of our seniors, although the majority of the working class are able to utilize a virtual platform for getting together, many of our seniors don't have access to internet or smartphones or computers to be able to do so. So we've been creative in creating our virtual programming. And what we found works really well in engaging our community is we do it telephonically. We'll send out flyers and information around SNAP enrollment to get our seniors engaged and help provide those continued resources and benefits that they need, and especially during this pandemic. And another thing that we found that really has been exciting for many of our older adults in terms of socialization is we do what we call telebingo. Since we're unable to connect with the majority of our seniors virtually, as I mentioned, we'll do it telephonically. And so each week, we put out flyers for our seniors to dial in. We provide bingo cards, prizes that will be delivered. And here's kind of the schedule for an example of the number of centers and the bingo that goes on throughout the week. I can't tell you enough how many seniors look forward to this type of socialization. They get on the call and they start talking to one another, and it's just so exciting and so enriching and satisfying and rewarding. So I talked a little bit about, what we're doing as far as telebingo. There's some images there that kind of give you a snapshot. We actually really go through bingo. We're pulling drawing balls. We've distributed telebingo cards to all of our seniors that decide to participate. And the following day, when we deliver meals, we'll deliver them their bingo prizes. But also, what's also so important in efforts like this is partnerships. And one great partnership is with the Dallas Coalition for Hunger Solutions, where we're partnering and we're providing education, for example, around SNAP. And those participants that are on the telebingo call have the opportunity to get enrolled, to learn more about SNAP, to learn more about other types of health resources and benefits that they can take advantage of. So it is a twofold approach. It's sort of the carrot before the horse, where we've got them engaged and now we can talk to them. There's another example of how we're connecting with them virtually and telephonically. There's an example of some of our bingo cards. We just celebrated Valentine's Day, so you can see we try to be creative. There's a flyer that goes out each week with a call-in number, dial-in number, rules for the game, and their bingo cards. And again, this has just been a tremendous outreach effort in keeping our seniors active. We talked about stretch bands. One of the other things that we're doing with all of our seniors during our telebingo calls is we do some stretching with them. And so we've provided not only those activity pads, word search, but we provided them with resistance bands so that during our bingo calls, they can do some stretching along with us and everyone joins in together. And in addition, we've provided some instructions so that they could do some stretching exercises on their own. So that gives you kind of a snapshot of what we've done, where we are. And now in terms of us going forward, we're hoping that given a downward trend in the number of positive cases, positive COVID cases, we might be able to reopen up our senior centers in the fall. If all goes well, one of the things that we'd like to introduce is a senior telehealth kiosk, because what we've discovered is, of course, and I'm preaching to the choir here, many of our socially economic low-income communities have poor outcomes. And so what we're trying to do is create interventions designed to close that gap where there is a lack of technology, where there is a lack of food, and where there is a lack of healthcare. And so in doing so, we've created this concept. It's called a senior telehealth kiosk, where we'll go into all of our centers and we'll set up a health kiosk that consists of blood pressure monitor, BMI calculator, pedometer, so that they can encourage them to walk. But most importantly, what we've done to help close that gap is provide a tablet or a laptop so that many of our seniors who don't have access to telehealth can schedule appointments in the privacy of the senior center and connect directly with their provider. And so the goals for our telehealth kiosks for seniors is to provide health and wellness education, to provide resources, opportunity to improve health. Each senior will be encouraged on a regular basis to monitor their blood pressure, and provide different access points for better health care, along with accessing their provider. And that gives you kind of an example of what we're looking at implementing to help close that gap between seniors who have access and those who do not. Again, I mentioned the program will consist of blood pressure, pedometer, BMI, and again, a laptop or tablet to connect with them telehealth provider. So that kind of sums up the majority of what I wanted to cover today. How can you help? Of course, volunteers. We have a number of volunteers, and I mentioned the Dallas Coalition for Hunger Solution, which is a great partnership. We are partnering with nursing schools, Parkland Hospital, and again, churches and faith-based are an integral part of the work that we're doing. American Heart Association, Kidney Association, Salvation Army, and many other partners. And so if you're here today and want to see how you can support us, I'll put my email address in the chat and be more than happy to provide any resources or connection in terms of partnering. Volunteers needed to support congregate meals, fitness and game activities, transportation, and the like. So in the end of the day, our goal is to strive to ensure that all of our older adults in Dallas County are active, independent, and healthy. And with your support and your partnership, we can get this done because it takes a village to raise a senior. So that concludes my presentation. I want to thank you all for listening, and I'll turn it back to you, Chelsea.
Thank you so much, Mark, and thank you for all that your department is doing to help seniors in our community. We have one question that already came through, and it said, can you share a little bit more about the initiative to connect seniors in your program to the COVID vaccine?
Yes, what we're doing, one, we're working with all of our senior centers and reaching out to them and providing registration, vaccine appointments, and transportation to the Fair Park mega site. We're also taking phone calls. So if you or your organization has a group of seniors or older adults that are in need of registering for the vaccine, I'll give you my number. I'll also put it in the chat, but I'll share it with you right now. 214-819-1860. You can call our office at 214-819-1860. And we're doing online registration. We'll be able to give you an appointment and a QR code so that you can go directly down to Fair Park and not have to be caught up in the endless loop. I hope that answered that question.
Yes, thank you so much. If you have any other questions for Mark, feel free to add them to the chat box there. And Mark, you mentioned you're always in need of volunteers for different things. And so if anyone is looking to volunteer or partner their faith community with you, are you going to be the contact person for that as well?
I would be the contact person for that as well, yes. And I'm putting my email and phone number in the chat right now.
Perfect. And if you do want to take a minute just to scroll through the chat, we've added some links in there from Catherine on the summer meals program. So all that information is listed there, as well as contact information. And then we also had Allison Reese respond and say, if you're also interested in CNR, you can connect with her, and she provided her contact information there as well. And Allison serves at Super Bowl of Caring, which is in our Hunger Solutions Guide. So a great resource for you to connect with today, in addition to our two guests. And then we had another question pop up, Mark. Are you taking vaccines to older adults rather than transporting them to Fair Park?
Great question. We are providing transportation. We are not doing any homebound at this time.
All right, we've got some more great links and resources coming through, so be sure to copy that in your chat. And are there any future plans for homebound vaccines? And do you know how many have been vaccinated through this?
Right now, we are in the process of trying to come up with a strategy to reach our homebound older adults in Dallas County. Right now, VNA is providing vaccine shots to its Meals on Wheels clients. So that we do know for sure, but we're looking at seeing how we can get vaccines to those that are not part of Meals on Wheels. That's something that we're currently working towards.
Great. Well, we'll give a few more minutes in case anyone has additional questions to come through the chat. But be sure you're saving that information with all of those resources listed there. And I don't think I see Pastor Bamibe on the call. So with that, we're going to just open it up. If you had anything else, anybody has any resources or opportunities they would like to share, you feel free to do so at this time. And yes, we will be sending a follow-up email with the information that was listed today. Thank you for that question.
Well, I'll just share on behalf of Mark's department and the city of Dallas and others serving seniors that May is Older Americans Month, and DART and the city of Dallas and other partners, probably the Senior Source and Dallas County Older Adult Services, are partnering to hold events, drive-through events on May 21st from 9 to 11 at 3 Dallas area recreation centers. I will send out a flyer following this meeting with information from this meeting that will include more details about that. So they want to spread the word to seniors that Older Americans Month is happening, and there will be drive-through events where seniors can come. There will be giveaways, there will be music, there will be festivities. They have to be able to get there. I understand that one of the events is being held where there is a DART rail station. So anyway, I think in the past, when this event was held at Fair Park, DART was involved in transporting seniors, to Fair Park, as well as Dallas County senior centers, were able to transport seniors to Fair Park, but that's not happening this year. So seniors have to be able to get a ride or take DART to one of the locations where there's a station nearby. And then I'll also mention that Baylor Scott and White Health and Wellness Center is hosting vaccine registration events at multiple City of Dallas recreation centers weekly. So persons can go during certain hours to these recreation centers, and there are community health workers who are helping people sign up for the vaccine. This is for registration. You have to get registered before you can get an appointment. So they're trying, and of course, a lot of it's online or it's by telephone and it's hard to get through. So Baylor Scott and White Health and Wellness Center community health workers are positioning themselves around the community at recreation centers where folks can go and get signed up, get on the list for the vaccine.
Thank you for those, Wynella. And Mark, I think we had a question come through. Are there Spanish speakers available if they call the Dallas County phone line?
Yes, we do have bilingual representation, so there are Spanish speakers if there is a need. Yes. Good question.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, well, if there's no further announcements and I'm not missing anything else, feel free to speak up if I am missing something. But with that,
One question, please.
Yes.
Dallas County, at what age do you consider a person a senior?
60.
60. Thank you.
Good question. Thank you. With that, our next meeting, we want to make sure you have on your calendars. It will be on August 19th at 1:30 p.m. We will send out reminders and links for registration to that as well. Again, we want to thank Catherine and Mark for joining us today, and thank you so much, each of you, for all the work that you're doing in our community. We appreciate it. Thank you to all of our attendees who also took out time of their schedule, and we hope information has been helpful and you're able to make some great connections from this meeting. We'll stick around for a few minutes in case there's additional questions. Yes,
Chelsea, this is Debbie Austin. I just wanted to say thank you, Wyanella, for making the announcement about our May Older American Month activities. In the past, the city of Dallas had done the Mayfest. Last year, we did Aging Well Dallas. And this year, we're partnering with the Parks Department, with Senior Source, and with the other organizations that she mentioned. And we're just going to make one event, and it is drive-through. And thank you again, Wyanella, for mentioning it for us. But I just wanted to say that it did take the place of the Mayfest event that we used to have.
Okay, great. Thank you, Debbie, for sharing with us.
Chelsea, I just also wanted to make one more, I meant to acknowledge Marlene Cohen with the Jewish Women's Foundation. I think, thank you for your support, Marlene, and providing gift cards for our seniors while during the Telebingo game. So thank you.
Great, thank you. And again, thank you to co-chairs and membership of the leadership and Faith Community Action Team. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Dabney. And a special thanks to Wyanella for helping us get everything together and on track. Thank you so much, Wyanella, for that. We really appreciate you. If there's no further questions, I think you are dismissed at this time. Again, we'll stick around for a few minutes so you can copy the chat and ask any additional questions. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Chelsea, Dabney, Wendy, Mark, Catherine. Appreciate the support.
Great.
Thank you for joining us, everyone.
We're all a team.
If I can get copies of like a PDF copy of your slides, Mark and Catherine, then I can send those out as a follow-up. So people will have that information handy. They want to review it.
Will do, absolutely.
I think that, Mark, on your presentation, the map of your centers, along with addresses, might be helpful if folks are wanting to volunteer and to see what center is near them.
I could do that. I'll send that as well.
Yeah, I'll write to you, Mark, after this meeting with the request. So you can.
Looks like that's about it, huh?
I think so.
I think so. Thank y'all so much.
Well, that was pretty quick. Oh, I guess I can turn off the recording now too.
Great job, Chelsea.